got some low-lying trees way off in the background. And it's still about the same time in the morning that I started yesterday. Sun just coming up, about 6:30. Now, I'm here on location again, and while I'm here, I want to capture this while I'm here on location. I went ahead and sketched in the rough shapes of those objects, which are the buildings I did yesterday morning. But now I'm looking at those background trees to give me a more interesting background. And over here I see these trees have a little more open areas. I see more tree trunks over here, which is interesting. And there's the horizon line way off in the background. There's more tree trunks over here and less branches than the other part of the tree line. So that's interesting. And then as I move over, now I see more branches or foliage, those are evergreens back there. Those are pine, big old pine trees. But here I see more. On this side I see more trunks. Here I see less, and I see more of the foliage, which is the pine tree. So that makes an interesting variation. And then over here on this little section, I see a bare tree, which the leaves haven't come on yet. That makes also an interesting variation. And a break here in the sky. And then on this far side right, again, I see bigger trees. And here I see, what I see is some branches peeking through sky holes. So really it's 1/3 sky hole, and then the rest is all foliage. So I have a variation. I have this variation over here on the right. Now I'm going to use a dark marker pen here to show better. On this side over here, I got this right side. I've got a few branches, sky holes, and then a lot of tree tops from those pine trees over here. What a nice variation. And these are taller. These trees are taller on this side. So that gives me some variation there, down to the horizon line. And then this little tree, there's a little tree peeking up here that's just got some branches showing. It's still springtime. There's no leaves on it. So again, this gives me another variety of a shape. And that's just above that rooftop. This rooftop here comes up here. Again, I'm just kind of blocking in some of these shapes. And then there's a break here, a little sky, lots of sky here, so there's a little break there, another change. And then I got this solid mass over on this side, which is all foliage, which are those evergreens, pine trees. They're this tall, but they're a little smaller, because I'm going further away as I look down here. They're a little bit, they're still tall, but they're a little in a distance, so a little bit. And this building here has a top coming down. So I'm roughing this in just to give me an idea of what I want to do. Now these are all solid. This just gives me, painting on location, I get a better idea of what I want to do here. This is all solid with some openings. And then on the far left over here, I see all individual trees. These are all groupings over here, but here I see more individual tops, and I see more I see more tree trunks over here. That gives me another variety over on this side. So, and this building comes down here like that. And that's just the basic shapes that are going on here. And then the horizon line across here. So I have a variety in the background. Here I have a lot of tree trunks, and the tops of some of the trees. I see more individual trees over here. Here I see a whole grouping, just solid tree tops of the pine trees. And I see a gap, and then there's this one lone individual tree that's kind of I just see the branches. And then over here is another big mass of trees, but I see some sky holes in here, which is a variation from these other two. So I have three groupings of trees here with different sizes, shapes, and a variety of branches, openings, and so forth. So that gives a more interesting background for this little painting I did. So today I was researching how to get a more interesting background behind these three little sheds that I painted yesterday morning. Okay, and as the sun gets up, I may try to find something here that I can put in the foreground. So, you know, a painting's not over when you finish. You get the object, then you look for an interesting background, and then maybe a foreground, you know, to kind of finish off the painting. So that's the way I look at art. I try to find a variety. Not only of subject matter, but also just by changing location here, I'm able to look at a more interesting background than from the other angle I had. So just changing location about 50 feet away, changed the angle of what I was looking at, and I saw a more interesting shape behind. So that's a lesson today on choosing a background that's more interesting. Okay, I moved over to the other side of this parking area, and now I found some shadows. So now the sun is behind me, casting shadows on the ground, and I found some interesting shadow patterns over here. Over in this section, I got a shadow pattern that comes down, and this is all shadow. And then in this section here, another kind of shadow. These shadows are coming from a bunch of parked trucks and cars and so forth, but they're cast because of the early morning. You cast long shadows, and this is the best time to get a nice shadow pattern, is either early in the morning or late in the afternoon, where the sun is at a low angle, and it gives you a more interesting shape. This one over here is coming through, gives me another shape. And there's one more shape over here, casting a shadow. So again, I look for a variety of, small shadows, different widths of the shadow. Some of them are a little bit darker and lighter. The edges are a little bit different, but try to find something interesting. And these also help add to the painting. This gives a little more direction now. This painting was a horizontal. I had some verticals here of the tree in the background, the horizontal positioning of the buildings, but now I have a diagonal lines, which gives me a different direction. So there's a variety there of directions, a horizontal, a verticals, and then I have a diagonal dimension or diagonal shape in the painting. So again, that's something else to look for, is a variety of directions, a variety of sizes, and a variety of shapes. So that gives you an idea of how I would pick maybe a foreground, a simple foreground of a shadow pattern to make this painting more interesting. Again, just by changing location and just looking around and finding something interesting to draw or to paint. So I think this will complete this little painting I started yesterday. I got an interesting background, and now I have a more interesting foreground.